The following is a Simpronto media production.
Leaders, real life leaders.
Hey guys, this episode is from the Grow and Scale Now Summit, where top entrepreneurs and leaders are going to help you take your business to the next level. To get your free ticket, go to growandscalenow.com. Now to the episode.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to introduce to you Tim Francis. He is an award-winning entrepreneur from Canada. He has now moved to Austin, Texas, and he is the founder of GreatAssistant.com. And he has hired over 300 assistants in the United States, and we are so excited to have him. Tim, tell listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started, like most entrepreneurs, very humbly, and was living in my basement of my house. I had 3 roommates just to help pay the rent. And Chantal, I was so happy. Even those very humble beginnings and nothing that would really impress anyone if they saw it. I was free because I had my time, and I was a full-time entrepreneur. I could do anything I wanted. Around that time, I was investing in real estate, and I had acquired 4 houses using pretty much none of my own money, which was really exciting. I felt very proud of that. I was also a touring drummer at the time. My band had played 150 shows. We had 3 sponsors. We played at the Western Canadian Music Awards, which is really exciting. And I'd won a 30 under 30 award for my city up in Canada. Then there was a series of events that lasted about over the course of 18 months that really, really took me to my knees. So first of all, the real estate market crashed back in 2008, 9, 10. It happened a little bit later in Canada than the US, and I lost over $100,000 of mostly other people's money. My band broke up 20 minutes before going on stage at the Western Canadian Music Awards. And a mentor that I had ended up being one of the 2 leaders of a $12 million Ponzi scheme. His business partner was convicted and barred from holding securities for 25 years and a $250,000 fine, and ended up actually fleeing the country. So it was an extremely stressful time. And it was also a very exhausting time, just given the fact that I was working 80 to 100-hour work weeks. So stress plus exhaustion, you put them together, it's a bad mix, very dangerous. And I ended up developing an illness called erythema nodosum. And I couldn't walk for 3 full months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had to move back for full-time care with my parents. Had my mom not paid my mortgage for me for 3 months, I would have gone double bankrupt, both personally and in my business. And day after day, I would lay in bed staring at the ceiling because the swelling went from my ankles to my knees, to my hips, to my elbows. Like I couldn't even type. So I was really immobile. And I just kept asking, what have I done to create this situation? Just really aiming to take personal responsibility for what my role was. And I had a few amazing breakthroughs. One of which came when I felt this warmth in my body and I heard a voice. And it's just kind of tingles just ran through my whole body. And the voice said, "Tim, is this what you want?" And in that moment, time stood still. I don't know if a second went by or a minute or an hour. And I heard a second voice. It was a very weak and distant voice. It was my own voice. And I said, "Yes, this is what I want." And the second that I said that, it was like dominoes started falling in my head, my heart, my spirit. And I realized that I'd been chasing fame and fortune when what I needed to be chasing was mastery. Mm. And so I made a promise to myself that if all I did for the rest of my life was get a little bit better at entrepreneurship with every single week that went by, even if I never became wealthy, even if I never became famous, even if it was a very humble life, that I would be very satisfied with that life. And so one thing led to another, and I started making a few dollars. I then ran into a new issue though, and that new problem was that I was running out of time. And around that time I saw a quote. It said, "Hell is meeting the man I could have been." Hell is meeting the man I could have been. And that just that took my breath away. And in that moment, I realized that if I was ever going to fulfill my potential in my lifetime, that I'd have to get help. That life is a team sport and business is a team sport. Now, the problem was that I'd read the 4-Hour Work Week in 2008, and I thought all I had to do was just get an overseas VA for a few dollars an hour and everything would be solved. And my first ever assistant that I got from India was a total train wreck. She was actually amazing. She was incredibly talented, great English, university educated. She was everything you could ask for, until one day when she just disappeared. For 7 straight days, I had no idea where she went. I had no way of getting in touch with her. And because she's halfway around the world, it's not like I could call anyone to knock on her door. And so So after 7 days, suddenly I got this flurry of Skype messages and email messages saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. So what had happened was there was a political dispute. And the representative of her neighborhood got into a fight with the representative, like the politician of another neighborhood. And that other neighborhood's politician actually controlled the electricity and had it turned off to her neighborhood. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, my business and my everyday is dependent on this assistant who's amazing. She, however, is dependent on third world infrastructure, corruption, and everything else that just kind of comes with the territory. So unfortunately, I did have to end that relationship, that working relationship. And after that, I started hiring all over the world. Just, if India didn't work, maybe the Philippines. If not the Philippines and Jamaica, then what about Pakistan? And I went all over the place. And again and again and again, I just kept failing over and over and over. Everything changed when I finally bit the bullet and hired my first ever North American assistant. It was way more than $4 an hour. Thankfully, though, it was still very affordable. This is about 7 or 8 years ago. It was $15 an hour. And to me, that seemed like, I made $37,000 the year before I got my assistant. So to pay someone $15 an hour seemed like a colossal investment. It was at the time. I just knew that if I was going to fulfill my potential, I needed someone I could count on. And that trumped everything. So despite the fact I didn't know what to delegate, I didn't know how I would afford it, and I was also a control freak and didn't know how to let go of control, I still bit the bullet because it was too important to me that I fulfill my potential in my lifetime. So I hired Sarah, and within the 12 months after working with Sarah, like 12 months before it was $39,000, 12 months after it was $107,000. And my business didn't change, same product, same service, same everything. The only difference was that I was free to focus on the big things in my business. And since then, I've had a lot of other entrepreneurs ask me for help on how to get their own great assistant. We've now helped over 300 assistants get placed with entrepreneurs around the United States and Canada. They're very affordable in the $18 to $22 an hour range. So it's way more affordable than people think. And we've helped people as big as $50 million companies to get assistants and as small as solopreneurs.
Hey guys, I want to take a minute real quick to tell you about this retreat that I'm putting together. It's going to be just 10 lucky people that I'm going to select, and we are going to stay in a 5-star resort in Miami, and it's going to be pamper time. But the most important thing, I'm going to open up my books. I'm going to show you everything. You're going to leave there with my Word docs. You're going to leave with a USB drive with all the information that I've possibly done, every system in place. A lot of times you go to these conferences, you get all jazzed up, but you don't walk away with anything. You're going to walk away with this retreat with tons of systems. Go to chantelray.com/retreat to learn more.
Calling all entrepreneurs, leaders, and business owners. Are you looking to grow and scale your business to help more people, increase your profits, and build the business of your dreams? Then you need to attend the Grow and Scale Now Summit, a free virtual event where you can learn from top leaders and thinkers who have grown and scaled their businesses by the millions. Unlock your potential and discover the secrets to take your business to the next level. Click the link in the show notes to claim your free ticket.
Well, I am really surprised. I meet entrepreneurs all the time and CEOs, and I feel like they'll tell me, I'm frustrated by low-level administrative tasks. I feel like I'm just perpetually behind. I'm, never caught up. I'm just doing tons of this low-level work. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why don't you get an assistant? So what are some of the reasons why people just are not getting an assistant?
I had the exact same question because it seems like it's something that most entrepreneurs who are making a few dollars should be doing. And so we interviewed 149 entrepreneurs in the fall of 2015. And we said, what is your number one biggest frustration or challenge in getting a great assistant? The words that we heard was from least common to most common. Least common was like, I don't know where to find them. I don't want to take the time to train them. I don't want to take the time to manage them and fix their mistakes. I don't know to pay them. Right. And the biggest one of all was actually, I don't know how to let go of control and I don't know how to trust. Mm-hmm. That was the number one challenge and frustration entrepreneurs had. So I think what's really interesting, what I noticed was because I'd read the 4-Hour Workweek, I thought all I got to do is hire an assistant and I should be good to go. I realized there's so much more to it, that there's actually almost like 4 different conversations. The first conversation is getting an assistant. It's a different conversation to how do I get a great assistant? Someone who's really talented, can be a trusted right-hand person, the second half of my brain, my mini-me, who can help me really focus on the high-level tasks. The third conversation is not only how do I get an assistant and how do I get a great assistant, but how do I make them stay? Because a great assistant is like a great investment. It's compound interest over time. The longer that they get to know you, the more they know how to do, the more that they can anticipate what you need, the more valuable that they become, right? To the point where they're anticipating and making things happen for you before you even ask for it, right? And the fourth conversation is not just how do we get an assistant, how do we get a great assistant, how do we get a great assistant that stays, but actually how do we get a great assistant that stays and is one of the best investments I've ever made. And a huge part of that, yes, is who do we hire? It's also we pick the right task to delegate and how do we manage and lead that assistant on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So, and there's maybe a little bit of a trick question here, but if I were to ask the question, is it worth delegating a task that you can get done in 5 minutes? Most people would say, well, no, because it's going to take me 20 minutes to teach it. Why would I bother? What if that task happens though, 5 times a day, every single day, right? And now that's 25 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's 125 minutes. That's over 2 hours a week, multiplied by 50 working weeks a year, right? That's 100 hours, right? So all of a sudden taking 25 minutes to teach that 5-minute task is one of the best investments that you can ever make, right? So as entrepreneurs, if we're picking the wrong tasks, if we're picking a 5-minute or even an hour-long task to delegate, yet it only happens once a month, once a quarter, once a year, it's the wrong task to delegate. We're never going to get ahead. We're not trading an hour to get 10 hours back. We're not trading a few dollars in wages to get lots of more money back in terms of new revenue because we're able to focus on marketing, sales, product development, and networking, or whatever it is we need to do. So that's a big gap for a lot of entrepreneurs, is just knowing what to delegate first.
Hope you enjoyed this episode from the Grow and Scale Now Summit. Again, you can get your free ticket now at growandscalenow.com.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Life Leadership. If you'd like to get the show notes or access more resources, log on to reallifeleaders.com/podcast to get the show notes from this episode and any other resources we might have mentioned. And also, we'd love to hear from you. Be sure to review or rate this podcast on Apple Podcasts to help spread the word. And if you have any leadership questions you want answered, email podcast@reallifeleaders.com.